Over the past 2 months, my wife has resumed a close relationship with Helen, her sister. Before that, we saw Helen and her not very smart husband 3 times a year. Now it has become a weekly thing. Helen used their time together to complain about her husband and how he messed up. It made me think about what my wife was saying about me. A needle and thread are not tools I usually use. My mother used them because she made quilts when I was a child and thought it would be good for me to learn too, even though I was a boy. Fast forward 30 years, and I discovered that I remembered how to use a needle and thread. From a small box that was usually kept at the bottom of a toolbox, I pulled out a small device that looked like a small white button. It matched the other 6 buttons on the front of my wife's favorite silk blouse. Using tiny scissors, I cut the original button off the blouse, removed all the threads from where the button was, and sewed the device into place. I hung the blouse on the hanger and took it to our bedroom, hanging it in its original place. I heard the shower running in our bathroom. I quietly returned to my home office and opened my laptop. Opening a new program and entering the password, I displayed a photo of our bedroom on the screen. I played with the remote control until I heard the sound of the shower and saw the bedroom clearly. I listened on headphones. I heard the shower turn off and the hairdryer turn on. A few minutes later, my naked wife came into the bedroom and started getting dressed for dinner with her sister. I was watching. She pulled on her stockings with suspenders and her skirt. She put on low-heeled shoes. She pulled out a satin bra from her desk drawer and started to put it on, stopped, and applied a little perfume, then put the bra on. She put on a silk blouse. If she notices the replaced button, it will be only when she touches it with her fingers. She didn't notice anything. She didn't put on panties. I asked myself, why? Why put perfume on your chest? My desire to find out what he and Helen were talking about led me to discover more about my wife than I realized. Having buttoned her blouse, she sat down at the dressing table and took care of her face and hair. I was watching. The camera in the button looked into the mirror, and I saw everything. When she was ready, she looked at her watch, took her cell phone out of her purse, and dialed the number on the speed dial. At 8 o'clock on the ocean shore, outside, at the front doors, she dialed a new speed dial number and said, "Remember, you don't answer calls at home until I call you on your mobile." "Thank you, sis." She threw the phone into her purse and stood up. I pressed a few keys and iTunes, and Dave Brubeck appeared on the screen. Lisa came into my office and kissed me on the cheek. I took off my headphones and asked, "When will you be back?" "No later than 10:30. We all have to work tomorrow. Don't wait for me." "Okay. Say hi to Helen for me." She nodded and waved as she left the house. I turned on the monitoring program again. She turned on the car radio and sang along to the song until she was almost on the beach. She parked and took her cell phone out of her purse, and I watched as she set it to vibrate and threw it back into her purse. If I didn't suspect her, this would be fun. I wanted to turn off the computer and not know what she was doing there, but I couldn't stop watching. She got out of the car and headed towards the restaurant on the edge of the pier. We've never been there. She did not go inside, but stood in the shadows from where she could watch the front doors. I looked at my watch. 7:58 p.m. My eyes caught movement on the screen. A man appeared from around the corner of the restaurant. He looked around and headed straight towards Lisa. When he was 10 feet away from me, I took a photo of him and started recording. "Any trouble?" he asked. "No." They both looked around and, seeing that no one was seeing them, kissed. They went out onto the pier. They talked as they walked. I adjusted the volume. "Do you have a plan?" asked Lisa. "I think yes. The last time I saw Pete was a month ago. I weighed 190 pounds. Today I'm 180. When I'm 170, I'll have lunch with him and tell him I have cancer." She turned and looked at him. "Isn't it dangerous?" I heard concern in the voice. "No. When I dial 160, it will ask if there is anything you can do for me. I casually joke that he might let me sleep with you. If he agrees to this, we are free. Once he let me have you, he gave permission, and that was that." I think he will allow it. He is very kind." He smiled. The last wish of a dying man. They stopped in an almost dark part of the pier and kissed. His hands unbuttoned his blouse and moved the camera so that I could no longer see what he was doing. Lisa was kind enough to comment. "Bill, I love it when you play with my breasts, but be careful. If you leave a mark, Pete will see it." A minute later, she said, "And the second?" The camera moved. She moaned, and I heard a slurping sound. Again and again. "I'm not wearing panties," she whispered. "Oh my God. Bill, take it easy. Yes, right here. Next week we'll rent a room somewhere. Can you take the afternoon off? We could travel miles from here and even use the bed," Bill suggested. "On Tuesday. I can take Tuesday afternoon. Then we will have a couple of hours and we will be able to do everything well again." He led her to the picnic table and she sat down on the edge. They had sex. They heard a noise, and Bill turned away from the noise. She covered herself and stood next to the table. Bill looked at his watch and began buttoning his blouse. My wife said, "You need to be taken care of." She fell to her knees, and because her blouse was loose, the camera was looking at her chin. It would be better if Heathis did not see. They got dressed. 4 more kisses, and they walked back to the restaurant. He turned left and disappeared. She walked past the restaurant and got into the car. On the way home, she chewed and swallowed 6 minutes. When she turned onto Washington Avenue, I turned off the computer and went to bed. She came in and undressed in the bathroom. I heard water running in the sink and then the toilet flushing. She came to bed wearing my t-shirt and panties. I pretended to be asleep until she went to bed. Then I woke up and asked, "How's Helen?" "Wonderful. I think she's mad at Gordon, but she didn't want to talk about it. It's unusual. Anger at Gordon is all she talks about." She kissed me, rolled over, and fell asleep. I almost threw up. This mouth kissed me after Bill. I lay awake for over an hour, thinking. When I woke up, Lisa had already taken a shower and got dressed for work. I completed my ritual and was ready for the time we walked out the door together. Every chance I had throughout the day when I wasn't very focused on work, I thought about my wife and my best friend. This was the guy who supported me at our wedding. I needed a plan. I needed to know why they were doing this to me. Was I such a bad friend? Such a bad husband? Did I deserve it? At lunch, I sat with 6 other guys. Most of them were around my age. I said they lent me the tape, and the show was about a guy who finds out his wife is cheating. The guy in the movie took his wife to a psychologist, and by the end of the show, they seemed to be fine. This opened up the discussion. I learned things I didn't know about the guys I worked with for 10 years. "I was already married to Beth once," said John Kingsley. 3 years later, I found out that she had been working with her boss for 5 years. The entire time we knew each other, she slept with her boss. We didn't go to a psychologist. I found out about it on Wednesday, and over the weekend I had the apartment and moved out. He had been married to Alice for 5 years, but the pain was still fresh and alive in his voice. Sitting opposite him was Louis, the eldest on our team. He was 42. "If she agreed to be faithful when you got married, then the first time she cheats with another man, you are no longer married. All bets are off. It's like a sport. When the ball leaves the court, it's over. So you will divorce her? Will you kick her to the curb?" He looked up again and said, "Why do I need a piece of paper? She wants a divorce. She can pay for it." I left. The day after I find out my woman is doing something else, you won't see me here. I'll leave. Hank spoke up. "They tell us to figure it out in the church. They talk about forgiveness. Don't you want to know why? Does knowing the temperature of the ice change his sensations?" asked Lewis. I nodded. Bob Thomas stood up. "Lunch is over," he said. "We're all back to work. I thought about it. Who cares why Lisa cheated with Bill? If the pipe in my house is clogged, I don't care why. I just want it fixed. If there is a fire in the house, will I take the time to find out what caused it? Hell no, I just want the fire to go out. I was languishing all day." Then he called Lisa's sister. I called her at work. She answered professionally, and when she found out it was me, her voice changed. Friendly, not professional. "Helen, I need your help. Lisa's birthday is coming up and I want to make it special. Maybe we can sit down and come up with something. I feel like I need help." "I will help. When?" Can you be free on Tuesday afternoon? I knew that Lisa would be busy. Certainly. Where are we going to meet? Any good restaurant near where you work. Quiet, well-lit, and good food. Understood. How about on the beach? The restaurant is actually on the beach where the chairs are in the sand. Great. Noon? I will write it down. Don't write down lunch with Pete. If Lisa sees this, she will find out and ruin the surprise. I'll put on lunch with Sandy. She spent 10 minutes telling me what her husband was up to. They were together 2 years longer than we were, and he ruined so many things that I was amazed that this man could walk around the room. But still, Helen stayed. Something was keeping her in a relationship that clearly wasn't working. I volunteered to work on Saturday. On Sunday, I did my homework. I knew in my heart that the house would soon be on the market. Lisa tried to persuade me to go to the cinema on Sunday evening. She wanted us to go out to dinner and a movie about an hour and a half away from home. The same movie was playing in a theater less than 15 minutes away. When she told me what restaurant she wanted to go to, I knew it would be a minimum $30 cover charge, and she would want wine and dessert. I asked if it was her treat or mine. She decided we could stay home and watch something on cable. We sat at home and watched a movie on cable. It was called Rupture. When it was all over, I asked, why should they get married? They acted like two married people quarreling over trifles and trying their best to ruin their own lives. Men don't know how to listen. She said it in a tone and body language that said what she said was more than an opinion. To her, it was a fact. There must be some straight people who know how to listen. Otherwise, there would be 80% of the world's lesbians. If our marriage broke up, would you want to marry again? To me? She stopped. She held 2 empty Diet Coke cans and an empty bowl of popcorn in her hands and headed towards the kitchen. She turned and asked, "What?" Answer my question. Lately, I have been getting the feeling that you are not happy in your marriage to me. If not, let's sell the house, split the money, and kiss goodbye. Her eyes filled with tears. I thought you were happy. I thought so too, until I felt that you would rather be somewhere else. It wasn't me who went to work yesterday on Saturday. A good distraction tactic is to shift the conversation to a single incident, rather than staying on topic. Yes, I was working yesterday. You didn't say anything about doing something together on Saturday. Last Saturday, you went to see your sister for the whole day. Then you and her had a late dinner earlier in the week. This suggests that you would rather be with her. Honestly, it's normal. Maybe you can move in with her and Gordon. I know he would want you around. That's disgusting. I don't like Gordon at all. Maybe you and Helen can make out with each other without men. You do not understand. I sat down on the sofa. I patted the place next to me and said, "Sit here and explain it to me. I have a master's degree in science. Maybe I can understand if you make it simple enough." Now you speak with sarcasm. No, I want to understand. The only person I know who can help me understand is you. I can't remember anything on this planet or any other that would be as important to me as understanding this. I patted the sofa again. She took a step closer to the sofa and said, "You won't be able to understand women." Lisa, I don't care about understanding women in general. I want to understand you. I don't care why Helen stays with Gordon. I don't care why movie stars stay married or not. I don't care why other women do what they do. I care about you and myself. We watched the film, and for some reason it upset you. I don't want to live as a lesbian with my sister. I don't want to sell the house and kiss each other goodbye. She walked into the kitchen. I heard popcorn go in the trash, cans go in the garbage disposal, and a bowl goes in the dishwasher. She walked through the living room and entered the bedroom. 20 minutes later, she silently went to bed in my t-shirt and panties. I was already there, lying on my back. She turned off the light and turned on her side, facing away from me. I'll call the real estate agency in the morning. I turned over on my side and didn't say anything until the morning. She didn't say anything either. When I got to work, I called a realtor I knew and pointed out our house. I had lunch for a long time and met her at the house. We set a good price for it. She explained to me what I had to do to raise the selling price, and we parted, shaking hands. As I backed out of the driveway on my way to work, I saw a for sale sign on the front lawn. Lisa leaves work half an hour before me. I turned off my cell phone when she left work. I drove home, following all traffic rules. Turning onto our street, I saw a realtor sign covered with a green plastic trash bag. I smiled. I parked in the garage, returned to the yard, and removed the bag from the sign. I entered through the back door. Lisa was in our bedroom, face down on the bed. I went into the bathroom, closed the door, went to the toilet, washed my hands, and opened the door. Lisa was sitting on the edge of the bed. From my side, I kept walking. When I approached the door, she said, "I want to live with you. I do not trust you." I continued walking. From the kitchen, I grabbed a Diet Coke and a small package of cookies. In the living room, I sat on the sofa and turned on the news. I never watched the news. Lisa came in and sat down at the other end of the sofa. 2 minutes passed. Only noise came from the TV. "Can we talk?" she asked. "About what?" "I don't want to sell the house. I don't want to kiss you goodbye." "Who do you want to kiss?" I asked, turning to face her. I saw her face change color for a moment before she pulled herself together and said, "Nobody." "Okay, I'll leave this for now. Do you want to live with me?" "I am your wife. Of course I want to live with you. You don't help me understand you. You act like there's something wrong with me and maybe it's contagious, and then you tell me you want to stay. Am I treating you badly? You don't treat me badly. It's much worse. You don't treat me at all. You don't want me to leave, and you don't want me to be your husband. You could save us, but you can't bring yourself to do it." She sat and watched as I got up from the couch and walked into our bedroom. I grabbed another pillow and blanket, carried them to the spare bedroom, and threw them on the bed. I knew she knew what I was doing. I returned to the bedroom and closed the door behind me. I took a shower and went to bed. It wasn't even mine yet. At almost 10, Lisa opened the door and walked in. I usually sleep facing the door, so I immediately saw her come in. She was naked. It was serious. In the dim light, her naked appearance still lights the fires. She quietly crept to her side of the bed. She lifted the blanket and began to climb in. "Stop." I turned on the lamp and turned to her. "For a whole month, you come to bed every night in panties and a t-shirt. You sleep with your back turned away from me, and only once this month have I received a kiss. Good night." I put the pillow and extra blanket in the other bedroom. "If you want to sleep in this house, sleep there." "I want to sleep with you." Tough. I made a mistake, but I have no idea what I did. I made a mistake with you. You know what the mistake was. You punished me for it for a while, but you didn't tell me what I did or didn't do. I have only one choice: sell the house, get a divorce, and let you be happy with someone else. I don't want to be happy with someone else. And you don't want to be happy with me. I give up. I am correcting my statement that I have only one choice: sell the house, get a divorce, and let you be unhappy with someone else. I got out of bed and turned on the overhead light. I looked at Lisa and asked, "Do you love me?" Until the moment I asked, she was looking straight at me. The moment I asked her, she looked away for a second. I had the answer. At that moment, I realized that if we were not married, if we were not bound by love, we would have copulated. We would have each other. She stood exactly the same as she had been standing since I said stop. I lifted the sheet and blanket and said, "Lie down on the bed." I knew we had condoms for our guests in the other bedroom, so I went and got them. When I returned, she was lying on her back in bed. Her eyes looked scared. I threw her a condom. "You came to bed naked to convince me to stay with sex and not to sell the house and continue to tell yourself that you love me. Okay, here's your chance. We'll have sex and I'll have you until you have trouble walking tomorrow." 100 times I told myself that it was normal to have her. Perhaps Bill wasn't the only one who had it. My anger, frustration, and rage helped me get aroused. She said, "Can we turn off the lights, please?" No. I may want to remember it, and I want the images to be crisp and clear. I had her hard as my pleasure dictated. In all the years we've been together, I've never done that. I always strived for her pleasure, for her comfort. Today, everything was different. I had her without caring about her at all. When it was all over, I went to the bathroom. From the bathroom, I tossed her a box of tissues and took a shower to clean myself up. I turned off the light and went to bed. If you want, you can spend the night here. But first, you must answer one question. I turned on the nightlight again, turned to her and asked, "Will Bill pay for the hotel room tomorrow afternoon or will you?" Her eyes widened and she burst into tears. She buried her face in the pillow and continued to cry. I turned off the light and went to bed. About 10 minutes after I turned off the light, Lisa got up and quietly left the bedroom. She didn't return. She was silent. I did sleep, but it took a while to fall asleep. I met Helen for lunch. From her appearance, I realized that Lisa was not talking to her. We sat at the table farthest from everyone else. We placed our order, grabbed our drinks, and knew it was still 20 minutes before lunch. "Thank you for coming. I'm not going to throw Lisa a birthday party." "But you said—" I lied. "I would like to throw her a party, but I can't. Lisa is having an affair." I paused. Helen's face showed shock. "Don't look shocked. Not long ago, she asked you to cover for her. Don't come to the phone until I call you on your cell phone." "I didn't know what she was doing." "Okay. Let's say I believe. Knowing that you now know that your married sister is cheating, what will you do?" "You are sure? I have video and audio. Would you like a copy?" "Oh my God. I do not know what to do. Today she is meeting her lover at the hotel. Her lover is my ex-best friend, Bill. I spent some time wondering why until I realized it didn't matter. The important thing is that she can't tell me that she loves me. What matters is that damn Bill is more important than our marriage. There is a for sale sign on our front lawn. We're done. They brought us lunch, but we didn't eat a single piece. I paid the bill and walked Helen to the car. I know what I'll do since you asked. I don't have a sister anymore. She behaves in such a way that I do not want to see her in my family. And tonight I'm going to talk to Gordon. After talking with you, I see that not everything is in order in my house either." She stood on her tiptoes and kissed me on the cheek. I held her door when she sat down. "Can we stay in touch? You have my number." I nodded. "She's gone." I went home and started moving Lisa's things. First, I moved her clothes to the other bedroom, then the dressing table. When I moved her dresser away from the wall, I found a large envelope between the dresser and the wall. Inside were photographs of her with Bill and another man at a nudist resort. All the photos were of their dirty sex. There was also a DVD in the envelope. The envelope was mailed to us and the return address was Bill's. Miss Angela McGregor, a lawyer, lives 3 doors down from us. Her car was parked in the driveway when I approached. I handed her a $100 bill. She took it and asked, "What's the question?" "I think you can give me 15 minutes, and that's enough to understand what my divorce will look like." I handed her the envelope. She opened the envelope and looked inside without touching anything. She looked up and said, "Let's talk." My 100 found me a lawyer. She wanted this case. She found out the story and made some calls. One of the calls was addressed to Lisa's employer. She asked permission to talk to Lisa. She was told that Lisa took sick leave and went home. Only Lisa was not at home. I left the envelope with her. I went to the hardware store and bought a lock for my bedroom door. It was installed before Lisa returned home. When she returned home, I was sitting at the table. She came to the door and asked if I wanted to have dinner. "No, I think it's safer for me to eat outside the house. But thanks for the offer. Did you have a fun day?" "I'm done with this." "May I ask why?" "Apparently you were planning to have sex with him today. Why stop?" "I want to be married to you." "Bullshit. You don't even love me. You'd rather fuck my best friend than be faithful to me." I was thinking about revenge. I thought about printing 1,000 copies of the photos of you cheating, but I realized that a child might see them and it would be disgusting. No, the best thing to do would be to sell the house, split the money, and let you be miserable. She burst into tears and ran down the corridor. She stopped at the bedroom door and saw the new lock. "It's locked," she said. She didn't tell me that. She just said it. "All your things are in the other bedroom. You moved while you were with Bill." I heard the door to the other bedroom close and didn't see her again that night. On Wednesday at work, Lewis asked why I missed yesterday. I started a lawsuit with my future ex-wife. I wonder if we talked about this last week. Stop guessing. I caught her. We're done. End of story. While we were sitting at lunch, my cell phone rang. She was served. 10 minutes later, the phone rang again. I looked, expecting it to be Lisa. It was Helen. "He's already been served," she said. "Do you want to have dinner and lick your wounds?" "No. I want to hide somewhere and cry over the wasted years. I think our lawyers would advise us to stay away from each other, at least until the divorces are final. Mine says we'll be free on Thanksgiving Day." "Let's go on a cruise for Christmas." She laughed. "Are you serious? You have 6 months to make a decision. Until then, take care of yourself." Gordon took this news hard. The day after he was served, he took all the cash the ATM dispensed and stopped at a convenience store where he bought enough Jack Daniels to give him and 3 of his new friends alcohol poisoning. He made it to the hospital alive. He did not live to see the divorce and left Helen a widow 3 days before their anniversary. The day Lisa was served, she called Helen at work. Someone answered and then shouted to Helen, "Helen, it's your sister calling." "It can't be," said Helen. "I have no sister. She used to be, but she died." The lady who answered hung up. That same day, Miss McGregor arranged for a private investigator to visit the place where Bill worked. He showed the photos to the CEO and left him a copy. They found a way to let Bill leave the company with no severance pay, no nothing. After leaving the office, he did not return to his tiny apartment. No one has seen him since then. Well, no one here. Lisa signed the papers when they were presented. They guaranteed her 20% of the sale of the house. On the 10th of November, I was single. I sold the house in July and was living in the Airstream trailer we bought for the holidays until I decided what to do next. Lisa has not contacted me regarding the proceeds from the sale of the house. At 8 o'clock in the evening, someone knocked on my door. I opened the door. Helen stood there wearing high heels, stockings, a short skirt and jacket. She looked at me and said, "I'm looking for a single man, about 40 years old, divorced, and not opposed to the company of a widow. Maybe I know him. Why don't you come inside and I'll help you find him? Is it warm there?" "Warm. It might get even hotter." My hand helped her up the steps, and she stood in the middle of my small living room, dining room, and kitchen, waiting for me to help her take off her jacket. I took it off and found that she was not wearing a blouse or bra. "I waited, as you said, until you were left alone. Now do me a favor. Let's go to bed and let's think of something." It was right there, in the tiny Airstream trailer, that Helen and I had our first kiss. We had known each other for over 15 years and were ready to start something. When the kiss ended, I waved my hand, pointing 7 feet away from where she was, into the bedroom. Taking a second step in this direction, she opened the refrigerator. In 3 seconds, she took a complete inventory of the contents. She stepped back, picked up the jacket, and put it on. She took my hand and said, "Let's go. We're going to my house. I have everything we might need." She was right. Subscribe to our channel so that your second chaff doesn't cheat on you, and go ahead and listen to the next story, because this story is nothing compared to the next one. If you're under 18, don't even think about listening to the next one.